I still remember the look on my coworker's face when the CEO stood up, smiled, and announced that the company's biggest project of the year had been a complete success. Everyone started clapping. My coworkers stood there, soaking up every bit of the praise, while I sat quietly in the back of the room, wondering if I had somehow walked into the wrong meeting. He accepted congratulations, shook hands, and even thanked everyone for trusting his vision. The only problem was, it wasn't his vision, it was mine. I had spent 6 exhausting months building that project from the ground up. At that moment, I wanted to stand up and expose him in front of everyone. Instead, I stayed silent. Looking back, that was the best decision I ever made. I work as a project analyst for a software company in Chicago. It's not a glamorous job, but I genuinely enjoy solving complicated problems. I'm the type of person who would rather let my work speak for itself than fight for attention. Most of my coworkers appreciated that. My manager usually trusted me with the difficult assignments because he knew I would figure them out. About a year ago, a new senior coordinator named Ryan joined our department. He was confident, outgoing, and knew exactly how to impress people. In meetings, he always had the right words. Clients loved him. Leadership loved him. At first, I thought he was a great addition to the team. After a few weeks, though, I noticed something strange. Ryan had a habit of repeating other people's ideas as if they were his own. Someone would suggest a solution in a small meeting, and later, Ryan would present the exact same idea to upper management with slightly different wording. It happened often enough that people joked about it, but nobody ever challenged him. I should have seen the warning signs. One Monday morning, my manager called me into his office. A major client was threatening to leave because our reporting system kept failing. If we couldn't fix it within 3 months, we'd lose one of our biggest contracts. My manager asked me to lead the technical side, while Ryan handled communication with executives and the client. It sounded fair. For weeks, I practically lived at the office. I redesigned workflows, tested new software, stayed late almost every night, and even worked weekends. Ryan rarely stayed after 5 o'clock. Whenever I updated him, he'd nod, take notes, and tell me he'd translate the technical details into business language. I didn't think much about it. As the deadline got closer, everything started coming together. The new system was faster, easier to use, and eliminated several expensive errors. Our test results were better than anyone expected. The night before our final presentation, I emailed Ryan the latest report, along with every chart, every performance metric, and every recommendation. He replied with a simple message: "Looks great. I'll organize everything for tomorrow." The next morning, I walked into the conference room carrying my laptop. Ryan smiled and said, "Relax, I've already got the presentation loaded." I assumed he had simply copied my slides. Then the meeting started. For almost an hour, Ryan presented every solution I had created. Every chart I designed appeared on the screen. Every improvement I discovered became his strategy. Every success story was told as if he had personally solved each problem. The strangest part wasn't that he took credit, it was that he never once mentioned my name. I kept waiting for him to say, "My teammate developed this system," or "Alex handled the technical work." It never happened. The executives applauded. The client renewed their contract on the spot. The CEO congratulated Ryan for his outstanding leadership. Everyone looked at him like he had saved the company. I barely said 3 sentences the entire meeting. Several coworkers gave me sympathetic looks as people left the room. One quietly whispered, "That wasn't right." I nodded, but I didn't argue. When I got home that evening, I was angry enough to quit. Instead, I made coffee, sat at my desk, and opened my work email. I wasn't looking for revenge. I just wanted to understand exactly what had happened. That's when I noticed something interesting. Every draft of the project had been created using my company account. Every revision was automatically timestamped. Every technical document listed me as the original author. The shared project software also recorded who uploaded every file, who edited every document, and who completed each task. I didn't realize how detailed those records were. I didn't send them to anyone. Not yet. A week later, Ryan became the company's newest director of operations. He celebrated by buying expensive lunches for the office and telling everyone how hard work always pays off. Meanwhile, I quietly started working on another assignment. Life moved on. About 2 months later, the CEO announced an exciting opportunity. Our company had been invited to present the successful project at a national business conference. Investors, partners, and future clients would all be there. Ryan was chosen to lead the presentation. Everyone congratulated him again. The presentation was scheduled for Friday morning. On Wednesday afternoon, Ryan suddenly appeared at my desk. He looked nervous. He asked if I could refresh his memory about some technical details. Apparently, one of the conference organizers had requested a live demonstration instead of just slides. Ryan smiled awkwardly and admitted he hadn't actually worked through the software himself. He assumed I could spend an hour explaining everything. I politely told him I was busy finishing another deadline. For the first time since we'd met, Ryan didn't have an answer. He walked away looking worried. Friday arrived. Our office gathered in the large conference room to watch the live broadcast. Ryan walked confidently onto the stage. Everything looked perfect, until the questions started. One investor asked why the new automation system processed information in particular order. Ryan froze. Another executive asked how the backup algorithm handled missing data. Ryan guessed. His answer was completely wrong. The moderator asked if he could demonstrate one of the software features. Ryan clicked through random menus, clearly searching for something he had never actually used. The audience became noticeably quiet. Then someone asked a very simple question. What inspired this design? Ryan started giving another polished speech. Before he could finish, the client who had originally worked with our company interrupted. He smiled politely and said, "Actually, I thought your analyst built most of this. I remember spending hours on technical calls with someone named Alex." The room went silent. Ryan tried to recover, but the damage was done. People started asking more specific questions only the real project lead could answer. Ryan couldn't. The presentation ended early. Back at headquarters, leadership immediately scheduled meetings. Not with Ryan, with me. The CEO personally invited me into his office. He wasn't angry. He looked confused. He asked me to walk through the entire project from beginning to end. I did. Every decision, every challenge, every solution. I also brought printed documentation showing project histories, revision logs, timestamps, meeting notes, and technical approvals. I didn't accuse Ryan of anything. I simply answered every question honestly. The documents spoke for themselves. An internal review began that same week. It turned out this wasn't the first time Ryan had taken credit for someone else's work. Several employees came forward with similar experiences, smaller projects, presentation ideas, client solutions. Nobody had spoken up before because each incident seemed too small by itself. Together, they painted a very different picture. A month later, Ryan quietly left the company. Nobody made a dramatic announcement. His office was empty on Monday morning. A few weeks after that, my manager asked me to step into the leadership role Ryan had once held. This time, during the company meeting, the CEO introduced me with a smile. He thanked me for my patience, professionalism, and integrity. Then he said something I'll never forget. Real leadership isn't about who talks the loudest. It's about who does the work when nobody's watching. The room erupted in applause. This time it felt different, not because people were clapping louder, because they finally knew the truth. The promotion came with a raise, a better team, and the chance to mentor newer employees. I made one promise to myself that day. If someone on my team worked hard, they would always receive the recognition they earned. No one would ever have to wonder if their effort would disappear behind someone else's smile. Looking back, I realized I almost made a huge mistake. I wanted instant revenge. I wanted to expose Ryan in front of everyone during that first meeting. If I had done that, it probably would have turned into an argument with no clear winner. Instead, I stayed calm, kept doing my job, and let the facts speak when the right moment arrived. Sometimes the loudest person wins the room, but the truth has a way of catching up. Have you ever watched someone else take credit for your hard work? What happened in the end? I'd love to hear your story.